Welcome back to the Strength and Speed podcast. I'm your host, Conquer the Gauntlet Pro and Strength and Speed owner, Evan Preparis. I've got two other Conquer the Gauntlet Pros with me on the line. We're going to introduce them and then get to our episode sponsor and do a couple other shout outs before we get things going. So joining me, I have Lisa Nondorf, Masters CTG Specialist, and who just won her first gauntlet at Conquer the Gauntlet, Iowa. So Lisa, welcome.
Thank you. Yay, CTG is back.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the episode. And then we also have the newest athlete for the Conquer the Gauntlet Pro team. We have Jenny Overstreet. So Jenny, welcome.
Hi. Thank you.
And before I forget, this episode is brought to you by Hylete. So if you're not familiar with Hylete, you probably haven't been involved very much in the OCR or CrossFit world because they're like all over the place in that. They make some great athletic clothing, and then they make some of the best backpacks. So if you've ever seen me at a race, I'm always carrying a Hylete backpack, either the 6-in-1, which is super versatile, and it actually comes in, like, can break apart. You can use it as like a briefcase / like computer bag, and also as like a full duffel bag type thing. So that's super good. They also have the Icon, which I don't think they make anymore. But I also just picked up a whole bunch of new Hylete stuff, including they make like legit dress clothes. So I got a button down shirt that I'm going to wear on Sunday and I'm excited for. It's like really soft and it has like an athletic fit, unlike some of the other dress clothes you might buy. It's not like a normal department store. And they also have a polo shirt that I picked up that was also very, very soft. So I think that's going to be my go-to look, presentable, and not just like a athlete who rolled out of the gym.
Yeah,
clothes.
I got Doug has the nice pants, and that's what he wears when he has to dress up at work.
It's awesome. I didn't even know until I got them. Like I didn't even know that they had that line. Like I never, I guess, dug around the website that much. So they really have some really good stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'm wearing one of their shorts right now. They make shorts without a liner and then ones with a liner. So I'm gonna write a couple of reviews for that. And I'm also wearing our CTG Pro Team warm-up outfit. So it's like a really soft hoodie that I love.
Yeah, that's the best thing ever.
Yes.
All right,
I am actually wearing their running shorts right now too.
Oh,
They're like my favorites because they have pockets on the side that I can put all my things in. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I really like the pockets. A lot of them have zippers, which is super nice for if you go on running. Put your keys or phone in there or whatever. And then actually the Verge 2 shorts I just got actually have a loop on your back left side that, like, if you get this is good for guys. I guess it's good for girls too if you have a sports bra on underneath. But if you get hot, you basically just take off your shirt and you like loop it through this loop, and then you don't have to carry it, which is super.
Nice.
I like to run to Starbucks, and I can't go into Starbucks shirtless. It's socially inappropriate. So, yeah. So I run with a shirt on, and then after I finish Starbucks and I finish up my run, I have to like carry it in my hand, and it's always like flopping around and stuff. So I decided to try that out. All right, let's get to some content in today's episode. So we're going to get to know Jenny a little bit better because she's pretty new to the OCR scene. And then we're also going to talk about Conquer the Gauntlet. They are back. OCR is alive and well in the Midwest. I know Spartan has canceled all their 2020 events. Tough Mudder canceled all their 2020 events. Bone Frog has canceled all their 2020 events.
Yeah.
But Conquer the Gauntlet, the first one already happened, and every time I talk to the owners, they're like, "Yeah, we're good to go. It's going." So, And then KC Timber Challenge, Kansas City's only permanent obstacle course, has held 3 events this year and is about to hold their 4th on September 6th. But first, let's get to know Jenny better. So, Jenny, basically, you've won every OCR that comes through Kansas City. The Warrior Dash, Rugged Maniac. You're on the podium last year of Conquer the Gauntlet. I can't remember what event that was. And you've been just off the podium a couple times there. So let's start off with, take us through, who you are growing up and what sports you played and how you got involved.
Yeah. So growing up, the main sport that I played was soccer. So did that from the time I was maybe 4 or 5. Took a little bit of a break. I did a little bit of gymnastics for a year or 2, and then got back into soccer and around junior high and took that all the way through high school. I didn't play in college. It just didn't work out for me to do that, but I still love it, and I still kind of play recreationally a little bit with some adult teams. I also started in high school, a lot of extreme sport type things like skateboarding, snowboarding. I still wakeboard now when I can, that kind of thing. So that's kind of how I grew up. I have been teaching group exercise classes for 6-7 years now, and I started OCR in 2017, or no, it's actually 2018, I believe, was my first OCR that I did with a group from my boot camp class. So we were just like, hey, let's go have some fun. And it was the Kansas City Timber Challenge. So
Nice.
went through that and did a couple of those with some small groups. And then in the end of 2018, I decided that I wanted to kind of pursue that a little bit more and try it competitively. And first one was a rugged maniac, I believe, and I jumped in on the competitive heat on that one, and I did, and I was able to place in the top 10, and just from there, like, sparked fire under me to take that more seriously and actually start kind of training for it, and put a little more focus towards my training, because I've always done, some type of exercise program or something, I've got something physical going on that I'm working on, but it was going to give me like direction for that. So that was like the end of 2019, and now I've been kind of just training and getting more into it as I go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. Now you mentioned wakeboarding. Explain to that real quick what that is to people if they're not familiar.
And so it's one board that you're strapped into sideways with a rope behind a boat.
Yeah.
So
Water
yeah,
skiing essentially on a single board.
exactly. Yeah.
It's snowboarding on the water.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, back in 2016, I did OCR America, and I was talking to Jared Newby, the owner of Noob Sanity, and we were talking about how like you can steal lessons from other sports. And one of the ones he brought up for grip strength, usually people say climbers or some sort of weightlifting type thing for grip strength. But one of the things he brought up was water skiing. Are there do you feel that experience wakeboarding helped you with grip strength? And if so,
yeah,
any lessons we can pull?
I would say, yeah. I mean, it definitely takes a lot of upper body strength and coordination, grip strength. Yeah, that for sure. But I definitely remember like feeling pretty fatigued in the upper body, like when I wakeboard. I haven't been able to get out there at all this year yet, but yeah, I would say it benefits for sure.
Cool. Now, what made you finally decide to take the leap from running this as a group with your friends to let's do this competitive, and then let's do this competitive at a high level?
Going through with the group is awesome. Like, I still do that, still really enjoy that. It's just a very different feeling. Like, it's one thing to go with a group, and I'm usually their trainer or have trained them or worked with them at some capacity as far as working on their fitness, and it's more me like watching them accomplish something. And I think the competitive aspect has been just me challenging myself in that way and being able to see myself perform and accomplish goals.
What is your favorite style of working out? Because it sounds like you're very versatile in a lot of things you do, but if you had to build like your favorite training regime, what would it include? What would it entail?
Oh, that would be so tough, Lisa. I would think that I would want to
ask easy questions. You just said
yeah.
ask questions.
So, so I have a couple different certifications. One of it is CrossFit. CrossFit does boast as being kind of an all-around, basically encompassing all areas of fitness. I don't 100% believe that with CrossFit because I think there's some pieces missing, but I kind of like that idea. They do incorporate the lifting along with some gymnastics movements and some cardiovascular things and that kind of stuff. So I do really like and appreciate that. I think maybe like a mix of that kind of stuff with maybe some climbing plus some like endurance. Like,
Yeah,
can we just do it all?
correct.
Yeah, yeah,
Farm in our house.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
That's
um,
awesome.
yeah.
So take us through like what a normal training week looks like for you.
Normal training week. I'm sorry, there's some background noise out here now. So typically, a lot of running. I have 2 little boys, and I'm working full time. You mentioned I'm the fitness director at ROKC, so pretty busy schedule, which means a lot of really early mornings for me. So I typically have one day that would be a long trail run day, a couple recovery days thrown in there, just like short easy runs. I try to do 2 to 3 probably strength workouts a week, just really kind of focusing on building strength, and then 2 to 3 days where I will also work on grip training and just specific like grip and upper body work. And then I also try to sprinkle in some climbing there too. I really kind of, since working at ROKC, fallen in love with climbing in general, and I just really, really enjoy that. And I think it's just a great way to move your body too. So I try to do that probably about 2-3 times a week if I'm able to fit that in somewhere. So the benefit of working at a climbing gym is that I can, take breaks and kind of work on those things. But that's the bulk of it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Awesome.
And ROKC climbing gym, the new one in Olathe, is just phenomenal. I mean, it is so big. The pictures don't do it justice. So I do have a review coming out on Mud Run Guide for them. But if you're in the Kansas City area, you're passing through the Kansas City area, like you seriously need to go check it out. It has the largest wall, both height-wise and width-wise, I've ever seen in an indoor climbing gym, and surface area-wise. Like it's just enormous. It wraps around like one complete side of the building and then parts to the other, and then it's got an overhang, and then on top of that, it's got an upstairs area for climbing, and then the fitness area is also insane. I mean, there's treadmills, there's all sorts of ellipticals and Jacob's ladder, and then there's like a full gym on the downstairs too. So it's one of those gyms where you don't need to like buy a separate pass for, you don't need to have like a normal gym membership plus a climbing membership. You can just have just that climbing gym membership, and it has everything you need in there, right there.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah, I agree.
And if anyone
pretty
was at
proud of
the protein takeover back in March, like literally a couple days before everything went into quarantine, then you may have seen it, because that's when it opened, basically right before quarantine.
Yeah, you guys were one of the few that got to fully experience it for quarantine. So
Jealous. All we have is our backyard.
yeah, you have a pretty nice backyard though.
Yeah. So for those who don't know Lisa or follow Doug on social media, Lisa, tell us about your backyard, just to so people stop feeling bad for you, because there's no
they
reason.
can't feel bad. Doug and I are firm cross trainers too, so we live right off a bayou that goes right out into the ocean. So we do a lot of Doug does a lot of wakeboarding. I don't quite wakeboard yet. I don't trust my arm yet, but he wakeboards. We do stand up paddleboard out of the backyard. But what we primarily have is our living room is a rock wall. So we do have a rock wall running through our living room. We have monkey bars in our living room. We have rope hangs in our living room. We do have the beater bar that is in the living room. So we're pretty good about like just going from one room to the other. We can play floor is lava inside the house. But then outside the house, pre-quarantine, we had like a rig set up in the backyard. And then we have a pass that goes underneath our deck. And then Doug, when I was coming back after my injury, he built a stairway in the backyard. But then during quarantine, he linked everything together. So we have about 80 feet. You can run an 80-foot rig pass in our backyard. So it just doesn't stop. And now we're building a lot of balance obstacles because we're running out of anything to hang on. So we're getting a little, like he hung a spool because CTG was coming back. So I was scared of, I call it the stupid black spinning thing. And so he hung a cable spool I don't know if you know what those are, but they're huge. And so he hung one and put some 2x4 grip holds on, like just regular 2x4s on it. So you have to like lache onto it, build swing, and then lache off of it. So the amount of obstacles that we're now building is getting a little ridiculous. So yeah, we're trying to find the hardest path, and then every day for training you can hear it. One of us will be in the house and you can hear like creak 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 outside, and so we'll just yell, "Are you outside playing?" And so we'll come out, and the fun is trying to stump each other, like what path can I do that Doug can't do, and then I'll come home from somewhere and like, I made a new path, and then I'll have to figure it out. So it's pretty fun. It's amazing to have that kind of training partner. So I feel bad that we don't have gym access, but there's times that I miss lifting and things like that, which we don't have access to. So
And that's what happens when you have two pro OCR people living together. And I guess my only question for you, Lisa, is there any line that you're not willing to cross as far as turning your house into a giant OCR course, right? Because it seems like every time you post a new video, there's something new going on.
probably not. And I don't know, like I always say Doug's worse, but on all honesty, I don't know who's worse, because there's times that it was my idea to link the two together, and I'll blame him for everything. So if you ask me, everything is going to be Doug's fault. But if I'm being honest with everything, I'm 50% to blame. Because we just like, that's how, most people sit and watch TV at night. We don't really do that. We'll go outside, jump on the trampoline, play on the obstacles. We'll climb the rock wall. We'll do things like that. So that's kind of our night entertainment. So
I feel like you could just start charging people to come
we actually
use your facility.
talked to a couple of people and said we could physically have a race in our backyard. And so there were some people that asked, like, would you guys ever consider doing a race in your backyard? And we could even do, they were saying, what about an endurance event? And I was like, well, if you want to keep doing laps around our neighborhood, that's up to you. But yeah, we totally could.
I think you should do this sort of bed and breakfast.
Like
an OCR themed bed and breakfast. If there's like a local race in your area, this is like perfect bed and breakfast idea. And then on top of that, I think you can do time trial events, right? So you charge someone X amount of dollars to run the race, and they post the time, and some over the next 3 months or whatever, whoever has posted the fastest time, wins. I don't know,
right?
X percentage of the entries.
We would either have to water down everything we do, or somebody would have to come in and not get so mad, because like I said, we kind of get ridiculous with the amount of things that we are hanging in our backyard. Like bowling balls are common. It's common to have a hanging bowling ball that you have to like transition on and off of, or bowling pins are really at this point, like, and Doug and I, he gave me the challenge. He got so excited because I came home and he's like, I can one arm the bowling pin. So I one armed the bowling pin, and then he got mad. So we always have to play one up on each other. So anyone new coming in, I always feel really bad for. So.
Nice. Now, we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, most of 2020 has been a wash, but not in the Midwest. Finally, our lower population density is an advantage because there's fewer cases, there's less people. So the events are going on. Some of the smaller events are going on. And specifically, we had Conquer the Gauntlet a couple weeks ago. So, Jenny, why don't you share some thoughts on Conquer the Gauntlet, and then Lisa jump in afterwards.
Well, first off, it just felt so good to race. Like, it just was amazing. But the venue was awesome. I feel like they did a great job of kind of keeping people separate. As like people are wanting to see. Like, I think that maybe in general the turnout was a little less than usual anyway, but definitely didn't seem. It didn't seem like there was a lot of crowds or crowd heavy, but everything was kind of spaced out great. People weren't bunched up together right next to each other or anything like that. And I just thought everything was like perfect. Like, they've put some of their obstacles and kind of things around, and it was just a really, really great day. And it may just be that I was just so happy to be able to race, but yeah, they just did a great job with everything. So
Now, Lisa, how did your race go? We mentioned at the beginning, but take us through that.
My race or Lisa? I couldn't
Lisa.
hear you. Okay.
Oh, mine.
Yeah.
I tell everybody I ran my race. And I'm going into the season with that philosophy because initially I put too much pressure on myself after the injury to coming back. And so Iowa is a course that I really enjoy. I sometimes have a hard time running there just because of all of the corn and hay and things that it affects my asthma pretty bad. But I tend to always fare well there, so I guess that's to my advantage too. But I started the race and I just said I'm running this race to get redemption from last year, and mentally needed it. And so I think I remember getting to Z Beam, and that's where I said a bulk of the girls were backed up. I think Jenny, you were there. You wanted to change your address and move into Z Beam for a while, but
Yes.
but I like it, and I got through. And then when I got to Pegatron, um, like Jen had said to me that she thought that the first girl through was Kelly, actually. So when I got to Pegatron, I caught some of the other girls, but there were a lot of guys there, and they've done a remarkable job at upgrading and updating all the obstacles. They all were extremely safe. Pegatron, I said though, it was the pegs were much shorter than I remembered them being, much smoother than I remember them being. So I think the benefit that I have is Doug and I train on our pegs constantly. I mean, we're constantly on our pegboard. So even with it being as slick and smooth, a little bit angled as it was, I didn't have any Pegatron problems. And so I believe I know I was the first girl to get through. In my brain, I was like, oh, clearly other girls have gotten through. So I'm just going to keep going my race. And so I didn't have any obstacle issues, like minor hiccups, but nothing major. And I remember Doug came back and caught me at the 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 crawl. It was the I think the wire crawl, and he's like, "Babe, you're doing great." And I just remember as you run through it, tend to be like, "Whoa, it's a girl," and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm a girl," you know. And so when I saw Doug, he just kind of said to me, "You're doing really well, babe." And I looked at him, and there was only about half a mile left of the course, and I was like, "Am I in first?" And I just remember him saying, "Yeah, and by a landslide. Nobody's right behind you." And I said, "They are," but second place had gotten hung up on slackline. She got to slackline when I left slackline. And I like she must have gotten stuck there for a little while. So and then just happened to finish the course, and it was, it winning the race wasn't it was amazing to win, but for me it was the fact that I wanted redemption on that race course, and I felt like I got it. And so it's doing a lot for my confidence, which I needed this to get back. So
And if people are not tracking, Lisa tore her bicep early 2019 or late 2018. So last year was real rough for her, so she didn't really get to race much. And when she finally did come back, it, trouble doing the obstacles that she normally could breeze through. So
yeah. So yeah, and it's mentally, and even coming back, I've done 5 ninja comps now this year as well. And and I just keep saying to like Doug, I'm like, why are these so easy? And he's like, because you've trained your butt off at home, PT every single day still, because I wasn't able to get the bicep repaired, so I do race missing a complete bicep. It was a distal tear, so the bicep is gone. My surgeon asked if I ever wanted it, I could have the bicep completely removed, but I said no, it would make me really have a skinny arm. So, but so yeah, I can't open a jar, but I can hang off a nunchuck.
It's amazing. And
yeah.
I've been more impressed with you over the last, year than I ever was before. Because there's a lot of people they get to a certain level and you get injured, and it puts you back so far that a lot of people are like, all right, I guess this is just a sign, it's time for me to give up and move on to something else. And you have fought back so ferociously. Like it is, I mean, it's been impressive to see, just the training videos and then your performance at races. So, I mean, when I found out that you won the race, I was so excited. I was like it literally made my day. That's how good it was. It was so good. So
Yeah, I think for me, and like I said, it was kind of in shock. I was like, wait, how is this possible? Because this shouldn't be happening. But it just it's been a long year. It's been a lot of work. And Doug will tell you it hasn't all been happy, smiley stuff, but it's great having a support system like the team and an amazing boyfriend and my family, and it's made it worth it. Like it's worth it. I would tell anybody that gets injured, my surgeon said that I'd never be able to come back. So the best letter I ever had to write included a picture of me on top of a podium and said I came back.
nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Any final thoughts, Jenny, on Conquer the Gauntlet before we move on to KC Timber Challenge?
No, I think it's just like the best race series ever. It's so much fun. And like Lisa mentioned, like they're constantly upgrading the obstacles. Like Stairway was new this year and it's like perfect. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun. I'm ready for the next one.
Yeah, so coming up for Conquer the Gauntlet, September 12th, there's the Oklahoma race, and that is basically Tulsa and Oklahoma City combined. There's only one Oklahoma race this year. September 26th is Little Rock, and then what's the next one? Sometime in October is Dallas, 17th, I believe. And then the 7th, the same weekend as virtual World's Toughest, is Wichita. So my plan is to go to Wichita, unless I'm working, and then I'll probably do virtual World's Toughest. So I know some people I was talking to were like, oh, well, you gonna do World's Toughest or you gonna do CTG Wichita? And I was like, if I can go to Wichita, I'm going to a real race. I'm not given a choice between a virtual race and a real race. The real race wins every time. It doesn't doesn't matter what level it's at. So and I think they are doing for toughest and World's Toughest. They are going to make it, I'm going to use air quotes that you can't see, competitive. Like you can check in on Strava and stuff like that, but I don't know. It's not the same. Not the same.
No.
And I'm all about supporting them. I'm all about supporting them if I can. I don't have anything else going on, but real race wins out every time. Yeah. All right. So let's talk Casey.
Not for long.
Let's talk KC Timber Challenge. Yeah, right. Let's talk KC Timber Challenge. The Kansas City's permanent obstacle course. They also got a zip line. You can go head over to their Facebook page, Zip KC. Stoke Shed just shot a video for them for their zip line, which is up on their page. And Stoke Shed also shot their last two events. So they shot the Family Timber Challenge and they shot the Wild Women's Timber Challenge. So Jenny, just take us through some of their course and some of their unique type events.
Yeah, so KC Timber Challenge, they are one that are constantly upgrading and changing things too. So I'm just really proud of them and like to see the growth that they've made over the last couple of years even. It's like every time we have a race, they have something new or something. They've changed up the course and they do a great job of marking the course. So the extreme should be 4 miles, is that right? And like I said, they mark the course perfectly. It's a great trail even just to run on as it is. And the obstacles, they're constantly updating too and adding on to. They'll have their kind of own version of Stairway to Heaven. They'll have things to hop over, things to crawl under. They last year had a tire pull. I'm imagining they'll probably have that again this year. They have a rig with rings. They actually have a low rig that is very legit and hard to get through.
It's that's like one of the hardest obstacles I do all year. It pumps my because it's awkward and it pumps my arms out. Like I remember getting off it last year because it had rained that morning, so like the obstacle was wet, and I just remember getting off and my arms were like swollen. I was like, oh, that was terrible. But it's a lot better when it's dry. So, we'll see.
Yeah, they do a great job with it. What else is there? Walls. They have good big walls to get over. They're always a challenge for me. They just do a great job of putting it all together, and it's just a really, really fun event out in the woods. I think that every person I've ever taken out there has enjoyed it so much, and I always do like all the first heat with a more, competitive feel, and then go through with it because it's just so much fun. So.
Yeah, I know I've said this on the podcast before, but if you did CTG XTC when they did the combined event there, at the time XTC was nothing to write home about. But now, I mean, it's like a completely different course. It's so much better than it was back in 2016, 2017. And I've raced every event they've had this year. So I did the wintertime, the Yeti, the one where, you run through the snow. That was part of OCR America, and you smash the car at the end. So that's cool. I did the Wild Women's Chimber Challenge for the first time, which all women's race, but you can go as long as you dress in drag. So, I hadn't raced in a while, so it was time to play. So me and my daughter.
You weren't the only one, yeah.
Yeah, me and my daughter wore matching outfits, and we looked phenomenal. Bobby Ross was there from Stoke Shed. He was dressed as a woman, and Gary Shaw and Nicole Fleming, who I had on the podcast talking about drinking and running at the same time. They were sober for that event, I think. Maybe not. Maybe they were sneaking one in. I don't know. And then the most recent one was the Family Timber Challenge, which it's purposely shorter and scaled more for children. So, it was only 2 miles. So I ran the first lap hard, and then I ran the second lap with my daughter. It was the first adult OCR she's done. So 5 years old, and like no kidding, she legit ran the first mile, completely ran. We were passing people for the first mile. I was like, oh my goodness. Then she started getting tired.
She's not playing, Evan. She's not playing.
She's not playing. No, she's deadly serious. But the problem is she hangs around people like you two, and she goes to these races, and she sees the women just they're focused and they're crushing it. So she thinks that's the way everyone's supposed to behave. So she shows up at the start line. She's like, game on. We're here to win. It's like, okay.
That's great.
That's it.
Start him young.
Exactly.
So I am going to have an article on Motoring Guide about running with my 5-year-old and, some of the other things to consider. Obviously pacing, a lot of children have trouble. A lot of adults have trouble pacing, but children especially. But some of the other things I didn't consider, I probably should have. We had to stop and get water at one point, which I was not expecting earlier than I thought we need water. And I should have brought the equivalent of a gel. So she wouldn't want a gel, but I should have brought a package of gummies or something for her.
Yeah,
because her little body was burning through carbs.
Did she get into the mud at all?
No. So she did. So she's a 5-year-old girl does not. What's funny is she loves puddles, right? So if it's if she can see the bottom and splash around, she's all in. But when it gets murky water, not interested.
Mm-hmm. That is my girl. People ask why I'm so good on obstacles, and I say because I'm so afraid to fall in water I can't see the bottom of.
Also, keep in mind, Lisa is a professional high diver. Just a friendly reminder there.
I didn't know that.
If you missed the last episode or the first episode time we had her on, Lisa, tell people what your highest dive is and your highest stunt dive is, please.
Okay, so my highest dive is labeled as 100 feet. It's probably a true 87 feet. When you stand on it, the flag is at 100. So we called it 100 feet. And we would dive into, at that point, they banned our 10 feet. So we were 12 feet of water. So at 85 feet. So, and then I also did multiple fire dives where they light you on fire. And then you dive.
No big deal. It's no big deal.
But that's only from 50 feet in the air. So that's not that bad.
Oh, just 50 feet.
Just 50.
If you went to World's Toughest Mudder, that's about 15 feet higher than the cliff. Oh, and you're on fire, by the way. So.
And you're on fire, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's fine. But yeah, so I always laugh because everyone, whenever you do high jumps and everyone's like, are you nervous? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm scared. But not really. No, not really. So it was part of life growing up.
All right, we're going to start wrapping things up. Before we go, though, 3 people on the podcast. So tell us one thing people would be surprised to know about you. So we'll start off with Jenny, and then we'll go to Lisa.
Oh yay. Okay, so you two already know this, but I once let someone talk me into trying out dancing. Like I said, I'm always trying different like physical things. I once tried out to be an NFL cheerleader, and I actually did make their PR squad and joined that for a little while. So I got to go around the stadium and take pictures with fans and stuff. So
No, I don't think I knew that.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Can you please post some of those pictures for like
Let's
the
put- yeah,
podcast promo? We need some of those,
Yes.
please.
Was it for the Chiefs?
Maybe.
Who was
Yes,
it?
it was for the Chiefs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew a guy in the military, and his wife was an ex-Buccaneers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers cheerleader. And I was
really?
I was surprised that I was surprised they were not paid very much.
No.
I guess if there's a lot of girls lined up to take your spot, there's not a really neat reason to pay them that much. And then on top of that, I was surprised that since you have to try out every year, right? Like they wipe the slate clean.
Yeah.
It seemed like almost it. I mean, I'm sure it benefited a little bit, but it seemed like you didn't really benefit you that much with making the team the next year, just because you were on it last year. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. No. I mean, there are some, politics involved or whatever, but
I'm sure.
Girls that tried out for their second, third year and got cut. So yeah,
That's wild.
Yeah.
So we have a professional high diver and a professional cheerleader on
Yeah.
the team.
We are awesome.
So
I had to dress up too. I dressed up like a pirate once, like a mermaid.
And then they lit you on fire.
And they lit me on fire.
Yeah.
I feel like the two of you are being treated pretty differently. They're pushing Lisa off of 100-foot cliffs and setting her on fire, and you're taking pictures of people in cheerleading outfits. Are there any lessons from cheerleading we can apply to OCR, just out of curiosity?
Oh goodness, let me think. I don't know.
Smile for the cameras.
Maybe, yes. To have a positive attitude always, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. That would be the best one. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Lisa, what do you got for us that's new?
Well, we'll go on with the diving thing because, we talk about the fact that I was a high diver, and I just mentioned that I've dressed in mermaid costumes. So one year we started a show, and we always had a synchronized swimmer that had to act as the mermaid, and they had to swim in the water, and you had to breathe like on a hose. I'm sure like in Vegas, some people have seen these. Well, our synchronized swimmer got in the water, and we had just filled it, and the water was really, really cold. And she immediately got hypothermia and could not do the part. And back then, I was pretty much the only girl that did stunt diving. So they slapped a mermaid tail and a bra on me, and I got to learn how to be a mermaid for the rest of the season because the synchronized swimmer couldn't come back. So when I say I've been a mermaid, I truly have, and it was very humbling experience because you can't walk, and you can't come out of costume, so I would have to get carried around everywhere. So it was pretty amazing and awesome, and quite embarrassing when my friends would come to watch the show and I was being starred as a mermaid.
Okay, so now for the podcast cover, we need a picture of you in the mermaid outfit and Jenny as a cheerleader.
And Jenny's a cheerleader. That's exactly right. People will be like, what is up with this OCR team? Like, what has happened?
I'm gonna ask for another one, Lisa, because you used that one, or that came up in discussion last time.
Did it really?
I was very confused at how you were a mermaid. Like conceptually, I was having a hard time picturing it. So I remember asking a lot of questions and being very confused.
I don't think I ever use that for what people don't know. I'm running out of things.
It just came up in conversation. It came up in conversation.
Oh, that's right. Oh, so you do know that. Let's see. What else don't you know? My favorite animal is an owl. But everyone kind of knows that. But I don't publicize it. But every single room in our house has an owl, and Doug loves it. It's his favorite thing ever.
Oh, that's weird. Have you ever been to Brenna's place?
No, but I know she loves owls too.
Yeah, it
So
was like
that's what's quite
creepy.
comical.
It was like creepy
Yeah.
going in there.
So she got me for Secret Santa one year, and I got all this owl stuff. So I knew it was her. I was like, it's the only other person that gets it. So, but yeah, there's an owl every single room in our house. So it may be hidden, but there is one in there. So, yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna go off the animal theme for this one, and so I've mentioned on the podcast, well, like I'll go down rabbit hole. I'll find something that I find somewhat interesting, and then just like dive deep down the rabbit hole and start watching YouTube videos and reading books on it. And I've mentioned that sometimes I do that for races. So I've done it like Warrior Rush, the dirt runner event, had like the gladiator symbol as one of their race medals. So I started researching like Roman gladiators for a while. Anyway, with so few races going on, and one of them being KC Timber, and their mascot is a Sasquatch. So like I started going down the Sasquatch rabbit hole, and I mean you go off the deep end real quick. Like,
oh my God.
Like you go more than one documentary in, you've already gone off the deep end. It gets crazy real quick. You know, and it's like all these I'm using air quotes for documentaries, just like people sitting in the woods by themselves, like hearing noises. They're completely terrible. There are some decent books. Max Brooks, the author of World War Z, just came out with it's written like a nonfiction book, but obviously it's fiction, of a Sasquatch attack book. It's actually pretty good. It has some interesting commentary on like a current social, it's about this like green living community that lives out in the middle of nowhere in the Pacific Northwest. And then there's like a giant volcano eruption, and then they get trapped, and then Sasquatch attacks them, or family of Sasquatch. Anyway,
I'm so questioned. Zombie apocalypse Sasquatch is going to be what?
It's voiced by some famous actors, so it's actually pretty good. It's called Devolution, that book. But yeah, anyway, so I started going down the Sasquatch rabbit hole. Long story short, there's just nothing there, right? Like they keep taking things that are very similar to one type of, like they'll use an example of an animal where something it was gone from fiction to reality, like the giant squid. And then they'll use that as, oh, well, Bigfoot can go from reality back into mainstream, but there's just very little evidence, right? And then they'll be like, oh, well, Wolverines are hard to get pictures of in the wild. It's like, yeah, but we have Wolverines in captivity. We've captured them. We have their bone. Like, we have all the, and they'll be like, oh, you can ignore that. And then they're like, none of the genetic tests work. I mean, they can't decide on what size the footprint is, or, how many, the correct thing of the toes. The famous film, the Patterson Gimlin film, the one like everyone associates with Sasquatch, where he like turns and looks at the camera.
Yeah.
Like, that dude went into the woods to shoot a Sasquatch fiction movie, and then happened to see Sasquatch in the last like 20 seconds of film, and said it was a real Sasquatch. It wasn't a fiction thing. Like the whole, and then like a couple years years later, some guy came out and was like, yeah, I was the dude in the costume. So there's just nothing there. And yeah. So Sasquatch, don't it could be real, but it's there's just no evidence. Period.
So if Evan goes off the grid, he's not doing ultra-ocr anymore. He's going off the grid to search for Sasquatch.
That's right.
That's what's happening.
The one interesting thing is there is a I can't remember the name. Gigantopithecus is the name of it's like a really old gorilla that died out. I can't remember how long ago, but thousands of years ago, where they think it may have walked upright like Sasquatch, but they only have a mandible from it, so they don't know if it really walked upright or if it walked on all fours like other gorillas. But like something with the bone posture, they think some people think it walked upright. So
we said you researched.
Oh yeah, I go off the deep end. I go in deep. I'm like, you see the ultra-ocr side of me. Like, that's what I expose publicly. But like, when I find a topic, I drill down until I hit rock bottom, and then I switch topics. So
good Lord, that's amazing.
All right, we're gonna get going. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about Sasquatch. And if anyone wants to try to prove that Sasquatch exists with some grainy footage, feel free to send it my way, and I'll pick it apart. But all right, before we go, any final shout outs you want to give? Fenn's family sponsors. We'll start with Jenny, and then go to Lisa.
Yeah, I mean, I have friends, my family, everybody that supports me and what I do. Thank you to them so much because, like I said, I am a mom and full-time working, and I need all the support I can to get the training in that I need and kind of make life go round. To all of our sponsors with CTG, I know there's a lot of them, and I appreciate every single one of them. And Endurelite is also one of my supplement sponsors, and it's a product that I really believe in. So shout out to them too.
Cool. Lisa, what do you got?
It's all, the normal. Like I want to, of course, my friends and family that support me, especially during the last year of this return. And of course, my top sponsor right now is Atomic. I wouldn't be where am today if it wasn't for them and just the amazing training tools that they've provided, and the fact that I can go outside and just train and get back to where I was, even though the doctor said you'll never be back. So thanks, Atomic, for getting me back.
Oh, they were huge, especially during quarantine where you couldn't go to the gym and you had all the training tools you needed right there. Absolutely love them. Jenny, you have the Ninja board. Tell people about that real quick.
Yes. Yeah, so that is a little board that has like a small section of a pegboard. It has some different size holds that you can use. It has hooks on the bottom. I'm trying to think of everything that it has because it has a lot that you can hang different grips from. It has some like ball grips at the top. It's really just got everything that you need to work grip strength. Yeah, I love that thing.
Yeah, if I lived in an apartment and only could buy one thing to train on, I would buy the Ninja board. I think it's like $250, but like you said, it has fingertip grips. It has, ball grips for hanging on the outside or doing wide grip pull-ups, reverse grips, and you can switch out the nunchucks and stuff like that and a pegboard all in one. So very, very awesome tool there. And finally, Conquer the Gauntlet Pro Team OCR Workouts to Go is now in digital and hard copy. I finally figured out how to do hard copy off Amazon. So if anyone wants the hard copy of that book, you can pick it up, or the digital copy, which is kind of how I intended it to be used. So it could always be on your phone. You can just grab workouts from there whenever you need them. And then if you listen to the intro and outro music of this, we switched a couple episodes ago. The priest of my church actually wrote the intro and outro music. So Dino Sinos, you can look him up on YouTube, and very interesting because it's like hard rock type stuff. It's not Byzantine music, which the music they sing in church is from that it's like over 1,000 years old, right? So it's quite a drastic change from what you're hearing on the intro and outro. And then on top of that, I started doing some work for them where we started taking his sermons and actually producing a podcast. So if anyone wants to hear some Orthodox Christianity religious content, you can search for Annunciation Greek Orthodox Church, and it's available on all major podcast streaming platforms. And you can hear his weekly sermons basically, and you can hear his spiritual encouragements that he puts out usually like once or twice a week. And so I'll be editing and throwing those up onto the internet so people can download and listen. And unlike the lengthy Orthodox service, you can hear the sermon, in a couple minutes versus sitting for the whole service. So good way to get some additional content there. So feel free to subscribe to that, and we'll throw some of those links for some of the stuff we've mentioned in this episode in the show notes below. All right, we're going to take off. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. I went to ROKC today and climbed and ran 13 miles, and it was awesome. So
that's excellent.
And then I went to the gym. It was like all I did today was work out. It was great.
Yeah. That's excellent.
So, all right, we'll catch both of you later, and hopefully see some of you, or I'll see Jenny at Extreme Timber Challenge, and hopefully we see some of the listeners there, and also at Conquer the Gauntlet, Oklahoma, which I don't think I'm going to now. I got some other stuff going on.
Yeah, we're not sure yet. Doug has to build a mobile home. If he gets it built, we'll go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
I will be there. Knock on wood that it happens.
Will your mobile home have OCR accessories built into it?
I don't know, and don't let Doug listen to this podcast because otherwise, yes, it definitely will. So it's going to be little. It's just enough for us to sleep in.
Okay.
So
That atomic ninja board would probably be perfect.
Yeah, the ninja board would be perfect for that.
Yeah.
After driving 6,000 miles last month, I told him, like, we need something that we can sleep in. I'm tired of hotels. So
Interesting. My dad's we have a discussion about RVs, and my dad's gonna enjoy some of these comments. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
interesting.
So, yeah.
Rob Butler, who owns or used to own Shale Hill, used to have a company called Synergy Sports, and one of the things they made was like a trailer hitch that you could like attach a rope climb to and do some other things with.
Oh, that's cool.
Like a mobile obstacle course gym. But.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I'm sure at some point, and I told him, I said, it just needs to be basic for, a month, and then we can upgrade from there. But it's like because we camp everywhere. We're fine camping, but not always, is it weather permitted to camp? So, and sometimes before a race, you just kind of want a bed. You don't want to sleep on the ground. So, especially when you're, 45 and 50 years old. So, I kind of want to sleep in a bed once in a while. So,
awesome. Yeah. All right, we'll let you go, and we will see you hopefully later this year.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.